Your natural style falls somewhere on this continuum, and you'll notice that the further right you move, the more controlling is the behaviour, and the further left you move, the more empowering is the behaviour. Now I'd like you to consider where the following might fall on this continuum. I'm going to talk about mentoring first. Now mentoring can be formal or informal. It's a positive relationship between a more experienced person and a less experienced person. You might want to write that down. More experienced versus less experienced. Where the more experienced person provides suggestions, advice, and shares their recommendations about what the other person should do. Now notice the key words here. Suggests what they think the other person should do. Mentoring is also done with a lot of respect and with wisdom, and is valued by the person receiving the advice. That's very important, but the suggestions have to be valued. It's a very respectful relationship. So if a manager is constantly barking suggestions or simply telling the staff what to do, then they're not mentoring. And if the suggestions are unwanted, then they're not mentoring. So the key words to remember here are advice and solutions. So if you find yourself giving advice all the time, you're not coaching. You're mentoring, possibly. Now at this point, if we were in a face-to-face environment, you might challenge me on this. However, if you choose to join us on the paid course, you will be in small coaching tutorials online where you can openly discuss your thoughts with your faculty coach. Well, what about counselling? Well, counselling in many cases is where either a staff member receives disciplinary action and is counselled on their behaviour, and that terminology is used very much in the military or the police force, or your staff are having serious personal problems and need to speak to a qualified counsellor who specialises in that area. So on page 2 of your action guide, next to counselling, keywords there are disciplinary action or personal problems. And if you're giving disciplinary action, chances are you are at the more controlling end of the ask-tell continuum. And if you're addressing personal problems, you're maybe at the more empowering end of that continuum. Unlike coaching, which we'll get to in a minute, counselling focuses on the past and ends in the present. And that's really important, past to present. So if you find yourself having in-depth conversations with staff about personal issues and you're trying to provide guidance, chances are you're not coaching them either, you're counselling them. What about training? Well, training is different again. A trainer tells and demonstrates, and often it's a one-to-many scenario. This is a training seminar. My job as a trainer is to tell and demonstrate. So I have a license to be quite prescriptive in my language and directive in my actions. Keywords to write down in your action guide might be tells and demonstrates. Now this is where many students often say, hey, wait a minute, Juliet, what about a sports coach? Their job is to tell and demonstrate the techniques. And that's true. That's what sports coaching is all about. But I want you to listen to me very carefully, because this is the simplest yet often the most contentious concept for managers to grasp about coaching in a business environment. Yet it goes to the very heart of who you will or will not become as a coach for your team. Coaching in the workplace does not provide advice as a mentor would. It does not spend a lot of time looking into the past as counselling does, and it does not rely on a one-way flow of telling and instructing as a trainer does. It sits at the very left of the continuum that we looked at. Life, business and executive coaching all begin where you are today, not in the past. And secondly, use questioning and listening techniques to understand where you are now, where you want to go, and help determine how you're going to get there. Okay? They are all based on the belief that your staff already know the answers to the majority of their challenges, but they lack confidence or insight to back their own judgment and take action. And your job as a coach to your staff is to unlock that inner wisdom so that they can act more confidently. Now I'll say that again, and I'd like you to write it down in your action guide on page 2. Your staff already have the ability to solve the majority of problems they face, but they lack the confidence or the insight to back their own judgment and take action. Now I'm going to expand on that. In the majority of circumstances, they have either experienced a similar problem before, or they know someone else who has, or they have the ability to come up with a variety of ideas or options to choose a solution with a little help from you. So the coach's job is not to provide the suggestions, the answers as a mentor would, but to question the person to help them find their own solutions. And that's really important. Huge distinction there between mentoring and coaching. And it is surprising how a few quick guiding questions can help others on the path to see the opportunities around them